Perfect. Well, thanks for having me today. I'll give you a little bit of a history on myself, on just how I got into crypto. Back in 2013, I was working at an ad agency, and we were working on some pretty large projects. And one of the individuals I was working with was talking about this thing called Bitcoin, and you should set up a Mt. Gox account. It'll be fun. And got into Bitcoin, and then started discovering lots of other coins, Ethereum, Litecoin, Monero, on and on and on, and started finding those through social channels, and namely Twitter, Reddit, some YouTube, and as some of my friends around me started getting into crypto, they started also finding things on social media, and then we kind of all got together and said, what could we do to capture everything going on out there? Can we capture every tweet? Can we understand every tweet? What about every post on Reddit? What about YouTube videos? What about the news? Because what was happening was we were seeing what was in front of us, but we weren't understanding in context what's going on. Is the activity that we're seeing today, is it higher or lower than yesterday? Is it positive or negative? Is it meaningful? Is there depth going on in these conversations? And so we got together and we said, you know what, we can collect all this stuff, and let's build an application that eventually became LUNARCRUSH. And as we love to say, without community, there is no crypto. And what we really do is we bring transparency. If you were to go onto any of your social feeds today, there's a lot of pumping going on with various coins. There's a lot of random information. You're capturing a piece of it. So we help to bring that transparency with what's going on, by providing clarity around community activity. And what we do is we do that for currently over 2,100 coins at the moment. And thus far, we've collected over 300 million plus posts. I say that we collect 800,000 posts per day, but last week we collected 1.6 million. On one day, and every day has been higher than that. And so when we look at, within all of those posts, we built an NLP library to understand the posts, to classify the posts, to score the posts. So we can understand, is it a very bullish post? Is it a very bearish post? Is it from a human? Is it from a robot? And it helps us to classify it. In fact, in some ways, when we first started, we said, let's remove spam. Let's remove spam from the mix. And we've actually even had hedge funds trade off of a spam indicator, and it's beat the market. So it's kind of fun when we talk about that one. And so we present that information to users in useful ways. That looks like a number of different metrics. So on the social side, I should also mention that we collect all the market metrics as well, all of the trading volume, price, all that stuff in real time. And our social data is also real time. And we look at a number of different social metrics, such as social volume, social engagement, the number of contributors that are posting, how much share of all the social any coin has. We call that social dominance. Sentiment. We capture every single link and every single tweet that's out there, so we understand what it is. We actually spider it, so similar to what Google would do, looking through links. We have probably the largest collection of crypto news in the world, based on how we go about collecting it and organizing it. As I mentioned, we also collect spam. It's a little bit of a hobby of ours, but it's a fun one. And then we bring some of those into very interesting metrics. We have something called the Galaxy Score, which is looking at the health of an individual coin at any point in time. So how is this one coin doing right now relative to its historical performance? We also have something called an alt rank that is also a combined score that looks at social plus market activity together, and it looks to see, is it beating Bitcoin? Because a key part of an investment strategy is, I want to earn more Bitcoin, and I'm going to maybe trade some alts to earn more Bitcoin. And so alt rank does a really great job, but we also do a correlation rank. We get asked quite often, great that you're tracking all this social activity, how does that correlate to price performance? And that's what correlation rank does. So it actually understands, just on a scale of 1 to 5, right now on an hourly basis or a daily basis, how is this coin performing relative to the community out there? So, and we do that through really 3 different avenues. So it's all really revolving around lunarcrush.com, which is, by the way, free for everyone to sign up. So if you just go to lunarcrush.com, you create an account and you get access to all this information for free. And we provide all those insights, and again, in real time. We have a number of apps in there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that stuff. I'm going to talk about something fun today in just a moment. And we also have Devtools. So we have worked with a lot of different funds. We work with exchanges and just directly with developers as well. And they use our real-time API. We have a WebSocket API that we sell that is used in a number of different ways. Our favorite way is like when it's in an exchange and you can kind of see some social data coordinated with your trading data. So with that, today I want to talk about something fun that we've been hearing a lot about lately. So you may have heard about this Robinhood fiasco that, Wall Street Bets, GameStop, AMC. And, it's funny from our side, what we've seen is we've had to start, go back 6 months. We've been growing like crazy, but the last 6 months, why should I care about social activity with my investing? All I look at is price. I do technical analysis. I draw lines on charts. I look at the volume. I trade. And then Wall Street Bets happened. And that turned into, this is an integral piece of my investment strategy. I really need to be looking at social activity. Why? Well, because social activity turned into social engagement, which turned into social action, which turned into individual action. And what that looked like was forums like they're on Reddit posting stuff. There was also Discord, there was also Telegram, there was also lots of different channels out there, all revolving around Wall Street Bets. Those individuals traded on Robinhood for free, and they pumped GameStop stock and AMC, and I think Virgin Galactic was another one. It made no sense. Totally abstracted from earnings, totally abstracted from reality. I mean, GameStop, a lot of these locations have been closed for a year. AMC hasn't shown a movie in a year. So we're at a point where, wait, these stocks are pumping and Wall Street didn't like it. And so this is a fun thing. So we have a socially driven investment like movement that occurred. But I want to talk about Dogecoin because this was also part of it. So Dogecoin is a meme cryptocurrency, and we've seen, it looks funny. Yes, we've got lots of memes. We've got Elon Musk that it's endlessly talked about Dogecoin. We've got Snoop Dogg that changed his name to Snoop Doge, and we have Gene Simmons from the singer from Kiss, also super bullish on Doge, and this revolved around Wall Street Bets, and then this turned into this celebrity movement, which turned into a ton of social activity. And I want to talk through some of that here today. Just to give an example, and yes, we have fun with some of our charts as well. There's the Doge Twinkie meme that at this point, this was back on February 7th. We're on that day, and this has never happened in history, where Dogecoin actually had higher social volume than Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano and Elrond and on and on. So when you break that a little further on our tool here, you can see we have 1 month activity. And when you look at, that was the daily chart that I just showed you. It was a fun tweet that we do, which, by the way, if you want to see any of our stuff, we're at LunarCrush on Twitter. We see that over the last month, it's obviously a tremendously bullish month. We've measured 9,113,500 social mentions for Bitcoin, but there's been more than 5 million for Dogecoin. And to put that into perspective, there's been 1.35 million for Ethereum, which is the second largest coin on the market. So Dogecoin has clearly taken over from a social perspective over the last month. And when we look at some of the individuals, we actually measure influencer activity. So we can tell you who's most influential objectively in real time based upon, and for any time frame, based upon the engagement, the activity, and the following that any user has on Twitter. And we're actually going to move that out to other social channels as well. But you see like Dogecoin Rise, David Gokhshtein, but we start to see some of these like Ash WSB, so Wall Street Bets, Cointelegraph, another one, All Street Bets. You keep going, Reddit investors. Some of these TikTok, there's TikTok investors, there's another TikTok thing, there's Gene Simmons. And so you start to see some of these individuals becoming extremely influential. And when you look at this over the last month, the activity correlates. There's been days, when I mentioned this correlation rank that we've got here, there's been days that it's traded at a 5 out of 5, which is a perfect correlation between social movements and market activity. And so there's no fundamentals here. There's no talk about innovation and utility and how it's working. This is purely community driven. And to say that that method stops at Doge would be a huge mistake. This happens on every coin, and we're seeing it increasingly happen. We don't track stocks at the moment, but we've done some testing and we're seeing it more and more on stocks. And so when you look at bullish sentiment, I mean, these are 4-digit moves. This is a, let me move this window. This is a 1-month time frame. So, you know, we went from just humming along as it's been doing, and we look at, you know, 4,000 social bullish posts a day, 3,000, then all of a sudden, Wall Street Bets, Elon, Gene Simmons, Snoop Dogg, we went from 3,000 to 4,000 bullish posts a day to 769,000 bullish posts a day. And we look at the total volume. That was over 1.1 million social posts on January 28th. What's interesting is you see this crazy big move, and you know it's still lots of activity, relatively speaking, and it tapers off. So does price. And when we look at engagement, we also have the same thing. You know, huge spike, going crazy, and kind of reality is starting to set in, and we're seeing price sag down to, you know, 5 cents, and it went as high as almost 8 cents. So this is what we do, and I just wanted to, you know, have some fun today and show you guys how it relates to Dogecoin. But we track this activity for thousands of coins, and you can move along with, you can favorite them, add them to a portfolio. We have social alerts that could even be set now, so you can actually start to track that stuff, and it'll come to you. And with that, I will hand it back to you all. Happy to answer any questions.
Fascinating times. It's, I would say some of this is driven more by community than anything else. And you were doing the right thing at the right time. So thank you for sharing that. And how can we follow this kind of information on LUNARCRUSH? Like, what should we pay attention to the most for people who are not spending maybe the entire day on the platform?
So I'd say if you're interested in any specific coin, I'd pay special attention to social engagement. And what that's looking at is, you know, it's one thing, for example, if I post about Litecoin and I get like 2 likes or something, but it's another thing if, say, Charlie Lee or Cointelegraph or whoever that's a very big name in Litecoin tweets about it, and it gets lots of depth. It gets 1,000 comments, it gets 1,000 retweets. Pay attention to engagement, because it typically means that something major occurred. There's a major news announcement. There's utility that was you know, pushed out there, and everyone's talking about it. Pay attention to it. We typically see when we look at like social activity driving market activity, we typically see that social engagement precedes it, because there's something major. And there's also fun things in crypto, like I may not have any assets on a particular exchange that I need to trade that coin on. That takes an hour or 2 sometimes. So we typically see that when there's engagement spikes, then it's followed by market activity more often than not. Not to say that that's a perfect science. If it were that easy, we probably wouldn't share any of this information out publicly at all. But you know, we're tracking this activity, and it's super fun. It's a really great way to check the market. The other thing I'd say, if you were to go to lunarcrush.com, go to the coin section, filter the table by alt rank. And that's going to tell you all of the coins that are beating Bitcoin from a social and a market perspective at that given time. And when you typically see a coin popping really high on an alt rank, doing really well consistently over days and weeks, you should absolutely pay attention, because that means that there's something going on. I can tell you, just like I'm on the site all day, every day, there's been coins that have done 4-digit returns that probably you've never even heard of, that are constantly ranking high on an alt rank. So a lot of fun.
I wish there's an alt Ethereum one too. Because that's
yeah, I mean, but that's technically the same thing. I mean, you know, if you're trying to, I mean, I guess that's a different method of looking at it. You know, alt rank looks at coins that are beating Bitcoin from a price perspective. So, you know, if Bitcoin's going down 1% and you have an alt rank that's up 30%, that's a great trade if you're trying to earn more Bitcoin. And so it's kind of built around that. And I suppose you could say if a coin is ranking better than Ethereum and outperforming Ethereum from a social and a market perspective at the same time, that could also bode well for a great investment.